Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I'm in here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about the most used exchange in the world, Uniswap, or at least potentially be.
Yeah, that's what we're banking on.
Yeah. Why are we talking about Uniswap today? And there's going to be a V3 announcement dropping like any day now. And if we look at Hayden, the founder of Uniswap, he says, if I have to go another week without publicly announcing details of Uniswap V3, I might go insane.
Yeah.
So there's some big news dropping with Uniswap pretty soon. So what I guess we can just sort of speculate as to what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I guess a huge speculation is a lot less fees on Uniswap.
Well, that's the big thing because that's the big user problem, right? Like it's not fun to use Uniswap in comparison to something like QuickSwap or ZeroSwap
or even a centralized exchange with the transactions are fast and a lot less expensive.
Yeah, exactly. The protocol that Hayden and friends pioneered, this whole liquidity pool, decentralized exchange mechanic, it's brilliant, right? It revolutionized the entire space. It kickstarted this whole DeFi movement, So that's for one is one reason to talk about it. It's even in this current version of itself with all the expenses associated with it, it's still number one in volume of transactions. It's still crushing all the competition.
Yeah.
So what does it look like whenever the V3 rolls out, whatever it means, like all these scaling issues are solved, additional features are implemented. It's like, damn, dude, like what comes from that?
Yeah, absolutely. And they have a sort of like a test net of V3, a Uniswap on layer 2, and it's called Unipig. And so what is Unipig? It's a test demo, it's a testnet demo of Uniswap running on optimistic rollups. So that's the speculation right now, is that the announcement is going to include the implementation of optimistic rollups, and that's just going to allow for a lot less transaction fees, as well as the throughput increases, so a lot less congestion. And so the question is, what is optimistic rollup? So it's a second layer scaling solution that allows you to run fully general Solidity smart contracts. So this is a technology that's competing with ZK rollups, as well as the second layer solutions that we're all familiar with, from Matic or Polygon to XDAI. And so this is sort of like a layer 2 solution that doesn't require changing your RPC network on your MetaMask, for example. So just to get a little bit more detailed. And so what are the benefits of this rollups? Is instant transactions, native meta transactions, native account abstraction, and then no gas fees. So in this particular implementation, there's no gas fees. So I wonder how we continue the security of Ethereum without paying the gas fees. That's going to be a question. And I think it's going to be through the delegated proof of stake that they're implementing in ETH 2.0. So it says, how does OVM compare to other scaling solutions? This is no moon math and not a side chain. Smart contracts are generalized and interoperable, and simple infrastructure. There's no consensus.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think for sure, like integrating optimistic rollups, from what I understand, is for sure more conducive to like a better user experience, I think, as opposed to the other scaling solutions. There's just no additional friction, from what I understand.
Yeah, the other scaling solutions require bridging, right? You have to bridge your Ethereum from mainnet to the second layer network, and then and then you'll be able to swap into any other token within the second layer.
Yeah, which is friction, but it's definitely something like the crypto community is getting used to. Protocols like Matic are making it almost standardizing it.
Yeah.
By integrating with so many different projects, especially in the gaming and the NFT space. Like if you go to their Twitter feed right now, it's like non-freaking stop, like integrations. So if you're already a crypto head, like you're gonna be comfortable with this layer 2 bridging. But the point here is, if Uniswap is to become what we're about to claim it to be, as potentially the biggest like exchange in the world, you got to service the broader mass market as well too, right?
Absolutely.
So that means minimal friction.
So let's speculate exactly on what the final ideal rollout for Uniswap to be? So right now there's high gas fees, and it's not really sustainable in the long term for, you know, billions of potentially users, right? Because Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. So that means anyone around the world can use Uniswap with just an internet connection, right? And this is a huge deal because once people can start trading their tokens in a decentralized way, there's not going to be a way to stop Uniswap, right?
Mm.
And there's so many people who are disenfranchised that don't have access to financial institutions. This is the way to do it. So this is a huge deal for Uniswap. So now V3 is coming, and they're going to be using optimistic rollups potentially, right? So nothing is like solidified until they make the announcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So second layer solutions with optimistic rollups, and it's going to be on Ethereum network, which is going to transition to ETH 2.0, which is a delegated proof of stake, which increases the throughput inherently on the Ethereum's network, right? It goes from like 10 transactions per second or 100 transactions per second to like beyond 2,000. And it's beyond 2,000 per shard. So if they increase the shard number, then the throughput increases. So it's pretty scalable, right? So there's still a missing piece between Uniswap and all the other exchanges or all the other blockchains out there, not exchanges. So we're speculating that eventually Uniswap will do another upgrade where they're going to be a cross-chain decentralized exchange. So that will be potentially the final form in the greater scheme of things for Uniswap.
Yeah.
So
you would think so.
Yeah, I mean, if not that, then what else? In this article, if you read this article, it's called Uniswap V3 Upgrade Coming in 2021. There's speculation that they're implementing some degree of NFTs into V3. So it's not confirmed, but Uniswap has dabbled into the NFT market before in the past, like early in 2017 with these Unisocks, right? Just basically digital socks. And
I think they're actual real socks too.
Well, you can trade them in for real socks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But now these NFTs are going for around $100,000, which in today's NFT craze, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's mild in comparison.
Yeah.
To some other NFTs out there. But yeah, you're right. This was one of the first like hints at what was to come, like as far as NFT mania. Like we just all kind of saw it and just, I guess, associated with it. Uniswap is this huge brand at this point in the crypto industry. So anything associated with it, especially something as scarce as 13 socks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like that's going to have some value to it, But yeah, little did we know, like there's a whole industry cooking up.
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
Pretty much deploy these exact same, the same psychology to the market.
And another thing that Uniswap is going to be leveraging is this EIP 1559. Okay, so Ethereum's improvement proposal consists of basically reducing the gas fees to a base level gas fee. Plus, there's discussions on including a tip mechanism for this proposal for the miners. So now this not only will the gas fees have like a base level for every single transaction, which would be leveraged by Uniswap in this case. They also have a burn mechanism included in these transactions. So with this burn mechanism, this potentially could reduce the supply of Ethereum, thereby increasing the value of Ethereum overall for everybody, instead of having this existing mechanism where people are just paying exorbitant gas fees to be included in the next block, which only benefits the miner and no one else besides them.
Yeah.
So I think this is a better overall upgrade for Ethereum in relation to people actually doing swaps on Uniswap. So, I mean, this is all good news. I mean, this is going to be reducing the gas fees, and we were just anticipating that at the end of this bull run that we were going to be expecting to pay thousands of dollars worth of gas fees to exit our positions.
Yeah, and that being justified in a sense just because of the euphoria and the sentiment of it and the velocity of transactions that are going to be happening. Like people are going to be making six-figure increases in their net worth like in a week.
Yeah.
Shit that people will never have experienced in their lives. So they're going to be more than willing to pay $1,000 or $2,000 for a gas transaction just to, execute,
Hell yeah. And
these miners they would capitalize on that, be like, hell yeah, dude, give me these gas fees. I'll take them. you know?
Yeah, and just to give you an example, is like how much money the miners are making. In total mining revenues has surpassed 1.3 billion in just February.
Yeah,
And then
that's absurd.
yeah, 50% coming from fees alone, according to Coinmetrics.
So it's interesting, like, and if you dive even deeper into the 1559 proposal, is like there's not like complete consensus among the Ethereum community, obviously, right?
Yeah.
For an organization or at least a sector of that community who's benefiting mostly from that 1.5 billion per month revenue stream, and to propose to them that we're essentially going to cut that stream in half and burn it, yeah, you can imagine there's going to be some conflict there, right?
Oh,
Between the
absolutely.
miners.
Yeah, there's definitely conflict right now, according to this article, that these miners are pushing back a little bit. And ultimately, if you think about it, they're just self-serving. And you could think through that if the Ethereum Foundation just listens to the Ethereum miners and they just don't do anything about these gas fees, there's not going to be a whole lot of users on Ethereum, and users are going to be going to other blockchains. But if they figure out a way to reduce the gas fees, thereby hurting the miners in the short term, you're going to increase your entire user base, potentially 10 or 100x fold, just because it's a lot easier and a lot more frictionless to transact on Ethereum.
Yeah.
And if you increase your user base by 100x fold, then there's going to be a ton more transactions, and therefore the miners potentially earn more income than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
So
just overall the ecosystem is just healthier.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is greenlit at this point and it's scheduled for like a summer release, and despite all this minor, resistance, pushback and resistance, the community is still able to self-govern and to deploy these core essential upgrades. That to me says a lot about the Ethereum like decentralized governance model. It's working. It's in a healthy state.
Right.
Whatever consensus models they have within their governance structure, like they're working in the sense that they're trying to serve the greater good of the broader community, not just like one sector who's in control.
Absolutely.
Which was part of the big speculation of the last cycle. What the downside risk to the Ethereum network. At some point, these miners who do control the majority of the hashing power would take control of the protocol, and they would decide all the governance in the future. They could do that by saying, hey, you guys don't agree with us. You want to take away our mining revenues. You know what? Fuck it. We control the hashing power. We could, I don't know, we could allocate it to some kind of, we'll fork a new coin.
Yeah.
And we'll start mining that instead.
Yeah.
These things have happened in the past, and they could potentially happen again.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Imagine hopefully if these miners, they fork off of Ethereum, right? Ethereum Classic 2.0, right? And they have like exorbitant gas fees over on that blockchain, and nobody uses them because the gas fees are ridiculous, just because they're trying to make money.
But they're going to spin up a narrative is like, we're true Ethereum, right? Because we're not fucking with the protocols, like, source code.
But nobody cares about that.
Exactly. But some people will buy into that narrative, and they'll still probably be a top 10 coin, top 20, just because that's the nature of these forks, But if the Ethereum community can bypass all that drama and just keep the network moving forward with this new improvement, and that says a lot about the future valuation of Ethereum. Like it's going in the right direction pretty much. So that should add to that speculative flame of like, dude, this thing is truly undervalued still.
Yeah, and now that the gas fees are going to be a part of a like a burn mechanism, the burn fee is algorithmically set as well. And so if you look at their GitHub, they actually have an equation of how that actually works. But nonetheless, it's algorithmically based, and it's going to be more fair. And most importantly, the gas fee is mostly going to be burnt, right? Some of it's still going to be sent to the miner, but yeah, this is good for the Ethereum community, and a lot more reason to hold ETH in the longer term.
Yeah, and specifically for Uniswap, in the sense that they're not 100% like layer 2 off the rippy poo. I think Hayden is on record saying, it's going to start out layer 1, and they'll be slowly migrating to layer 2.
Yeah.
But you still want to keep like some of the most valuable transactions on layer 1, just for that security assurance. You know what I mean? So all of these added, ETH 2.0 rollouts, like you said, the future sharding. Now this whole new, much more efficient gas economy. This is only going to help serve, Uniswap and every single DeFi protocol out there in the future.
Yeah. So this
At
proposal
least
is
maintain their competitive edge
right.
amongst everyone else.
This proposal has been around since 2019, and so they've been talking about this for quite a while. But
yeah,
the base fee is going to get burnt, and they're instituting this tipping mechanism, which I guess will encourage the miners to put your transaction ahead of everyone else. Which you would think it still causes the same problem, but because the throughput is increasing, there would be no need to have like $1,000 transaction as a gas fee. Just because you just have to wait a few minutes just to get your transaction included in the next block. But another interesting thing is Morgan Stanley is looking to buy a stake in BitHum Exchange for $440 million.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts around that, Iman, in terms of like how this affects like decentralized exchanges?
Oh yeah, it's just important to understand, like from a macro perspective, dude. These large institutions are flowing into acquire a stake into centralized exchanges. Right. They're racing for some type to get a piece of this because they know they've analyzed the revenue models and like the fucking how much income these exchanges generate. Dude, these are some of the most profitable businesses in the world. They're like, holy crap, dude! Like, how do we get a piece of this?
Yeah.
So once they realize, okay, there's a whole decentralized ecosystem emerging that's actually outperforming these centralized models, and it will outperform them in the future as these, as all these, future, like the V3 of Uniswap rolls out, all this stuff. As soon as order books get, implemented as a feature, as soon as the decentralized platforms kind of like they mimic and they, from a user experience perspective, they don't differ at all from the centralized models, dude. I mean, they're fucked.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are they going to do in response to that? How are they going to acquire a stake in these decentralized ecosystems? The only way to do that, there's no swap in equity for Uniswap and Morgan Stanley. You know what I mean? You got to buy these fucking tokens, bro, if you want to be a part of the ecosystem, just like the rest of us.
So what does that mean? So what's the price prediction? So right now Uniswap is at number 8 at 18 billion market cap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it means a lot in the sense that you're going to see institutional FOMO into DeFi, just like you see institutional FOMO into Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to see like as soon as like these decentralized protocols, they start degrading like the user base and like the practicality of the centralized, counterparts. And as soon as they see evidence of that, like, oh shit, the users are kind of like, they're being siphoned away from centralization to decentralization. That's when you're going to see the institutional like FOMO to like get in.
Yeah.
They got to secure their at least their stake within the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll buy $1 billion worth of tokens if it means we have some kind of like a little bit of control in the governance, right? Like maybe we could run like a big validator node or something.
That's
we need some kind of control.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to lose all the control they have today, right?
So that means if we were to predict, I mean, this should be a top 5 token. So from 18 to 37, that's like a 2x. That's a 2x from today's prices, right? Because we're in a bull run, everything rises with the tide, and so we could see, a little bit more than a 2x from here for Uniswap. So that's
I wouldn't be surprised to see Uniswap like $100 billion protocol.
Yeah,
maybe by the end of this cycle.
Yeah, like a 5x. Yeah, for sure.
I think so. I don't think that's out of the realm. I mean, first the market has to really appreciate what this V3 rollout is. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of juice behind it. I think we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So that's the video for today. Hopefully you guys learned something. What are your thoughts on Uniswap? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner and also at MetaZone.io, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.